Hey everybody, Kyle Goth here from GoatFilmReviews.com and the Goat Film Reviews YouTube channel, and I have my first reaction to the new film One Life that was directed by James Hawes and starred Anthony Hopkins. It was a 2023 release that hit stateside this year, I believe it was, and it follows the true story of Nicholas Winton, who was a British humanitarian who basically was responsible for saving hundreds of children in Germany-occupied Czechoslovakia in 1938, 1939. Basically, pre-World War II, he tried to get these kids safely out of the country to protect them until the war was over. That's my cat. I just got back from Germany, so this is the fourth movie I watched on the plane ride back to the States. I already reviewed the previous ones. You can see in the channel here. So my thoughts on this one, I do think that the actual biographical elements, the flashbacks of Johnny Flynn playing the 29-year-old version of Nicholas Winton, weren't as strong as the Anthony Hopkins version of him as a 79-year-old. It is what it is. Anthony Hopkins is a fantastic actor, and I feel like Johnny Flynn does a pretty good job, but it also feels a little bit TV movie-ish from like the 90s, where it just kind of felt like we were playing by the numbers. The style tends to kind of drip away at that point. I found it to be a little bit more interesting when we get to the Anthony Hopkins kind of book-ending portions where he's reflecting on what happened. Truly, though, it's a good movie all around, and parts of it are actually excellent. So I'm just saying this is like, I think the Hopkins parts are better. I don't think the Flynn parts are terrible. I just think they're not as strong as when we spend time with Anthony Hopkins, because the film does kind of play by numbers a little bit with that. I found it more interesting that we were in this idea of flashing backwards and forwards between the two versions of them. I do think that helped create one singular character between the two actors, though, which worked out pretty well, and I thought actually added to both performances a little bit more. But for me, the powerhouse of this moment does take place in the last 15 to 30 minutes of the movie. If you don't want to know any more about what actually happened, I was aware a little bit about this, or I remembered pieces of the Nicholas Winton part of the 80s, essentially. Basically, he ended up on a TV show. I can't remember what the name of the show was called. That's Life. That's right, That's Life. He ended up on a show in the 80s called That's Life, which was just kind of like a daytime series that told interesting stories about real human beings and what their backgrounds are, and then kind of would find them in the audience as well. I remember the sequence where he goes and actually is introduced to some of the people that he saved, 50 years on. And wow, that stuff just hit me so hard. It was kind of that, I knew that portion of the story, but the way in which Hawes directed it, the way in which Hopkins performed in it, the other actors who played the adult versions of the children, and in fact, a lot of those people, I'm not sure if the main ones that he interacted with in the film, but the people in the audience that he did meet that were playing the children grown up, a number of those ones were played by relatives of the actual children. So that was like, I think that just hit me really hard knowing that after seeing the film as well. I was so impressed with that movie. I thought it was just a very, very good, very, very heartwarming story. And I think there's probably going to be comparisons to the Schindler's List of it all, because we do have like comparisons just in like these two acts of heroism that took place during a devastating conflict. And I think that this film doesn't have the outreach, like the major machinations going on that I think, Schindler's List does have. But it is a smaller film, it is a more intimate film, and I think it is a character-driven film with a really strong performance from Anthony Hopkins. Again, it's kind of crazy to think that, like, Anthony Hopkins, I think about this movie, I think about one of my favorite films, maybe my actually favorite film from 2020, which was The Father, where he was phenomenal in very much a character piece movie. I just think he's doing some of his best acting now in the 2020s, and he's done great acting for decades, but I'm just so amazingly impressed with what he's able to pull off with some of these character pieces he's done. And this is just another one. I think he was phenomenal in this movie, and I don't hear the discussion around his performance getting accolades, but I do think he's worthy of accolades at the end of the year. So I was a huge fan of One Life and what it had to say about the human condition and the strength that one person can make a difference. Like, I know we've seen that tried and true formula in films so many times before, but this is a man who saved hundreds of lives. busted his ass, I'm sure, to do it. And he didn't do it so that 50 years from now he could be recognized on the 80s television series. That wasn't the point. But it was the fact that he did get the chance to reconnect with some of the people, too. That really, really good stuff. I definitely enjoyed One Life. He's probably my second favorite of the 4 films I saw on that flight back home. So definitely check the film out. I'm sure it's available for rental or purchase on a number of digital platforms. It might even have a home video release by now. I didn't see anything about it, but definitely worth checking out. I thought the movie was great, and definitely want to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know, have you seen One Life, and what did you think about it? Let me know down there your exact thoughts on the film. While you're down there, please like and subscribe. There are 2 free things you can do that help to support the channel immensely, and you never miss new episodes of the show as they drop. You can also check out a link in the description. There's links for goatfilmreviews.com if you want to look at my written reviews. If Goat Film Reviews on Facebook, you can follow me at Almighty Goatman on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Threads. You can find my show, Kyle and Nick on Film, that I co-host with Nick Polatichuk from the St. Paul Filmcast. We have new episodes of that show every single week. Yeah, and you can also find a link down in the description of the Minnesota Film Critics Alliance, of which I am a member. So you can find other film critics' reviews on One Life as well as other films, and you can just check out more of what I got going on too. Goku, my cat, is going to block the video, so we're going to say goodbye for now, and we will see you next time. He's really happy to have me home, right, buddy? I think so.